Hey, what's up guys? Joel Adams with Iridesium, and I am back with another pretty exciting tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at creating a pretty sweet exploding building. Basically what we're going to be doing is modeling the building, and we're not going to just be modeling the outside, we're going to be modeling the interior as well, so that when it breaks apart we can see the inside. Then we are going to be adding some particle simulations and then some smoke simulations on top of that to make it look pretty good. So anyways, with that out of the way, let's jump right in and get started. I'm going to hit A to select everything and delete it. Then I'm going to go Shift A, Mesh, add in a plane, and tab into Edit Mode. Going to delete all of the plane except for this one corner here, and then I'm going to add a mirror modifier. Make sure that's on the Y and X axes, and then turn clipping on. Tab into Edit Mode and select everything, and we are going to get a more appealing building shape. So maybe something like that. Now I want to imagine that there is a area right here at the corner that is like a concrete strip going up the side of the building, so let's make that. Then I can add a loop cut here and a loop cut there. Grab edge select mode and delete those edges. I'm going to go Control R and maybe just drag it back a little bit, and I'll delete that. I'm going to add two loop cuts here, and then grab the first one, go S, X, and 0. Grab the second one, S, X, and 0 to make those flat. Going to go 7, scale them together on the X axis till they're about the same width as this piece here. And I think something like that is good. Now let's go E, Y, and I want this to be the same distance out as this. So select this, hit Shift S, cursor to selected, then hit the period key on your keyboard and select 3D cursor. Now I can select this edge and go S, Y, and 0. Now it's the same exact width. Hit period and switch back to median point. What I might do is actually add a second loop cut here. Something like that, and then one here. And then I'm going to select this vertex and go Shift S, cursor to selected, and then go period, 3D cursor, select this vertex and go E, S, Y, 0. Now I'm going to fill this in. Alright, so I've got a couple extra vertices here for some reason. And that's looking pretty decent. I'm going to hit A and E to extrude it up just a little bit. This is going to be the floor. So now tab into object mode. Oh, looks like I have some more vertices here as well. Made a bit of a mess. Okay, well, back in object mode, I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate it, tab into edit mode again, and I'm going to delete the bottom half, like that. And this is going to be the walls. Control R, add a loop cut there. Now, what we want is for this to be a wall, and this is going to be just a little balcony. So the topology here is not quite right. Let's go ahead and disconnect this vertex. So let's delete that edge right there. Now I'm going to go S, X. We don't want it to scale to the cursor, so let's hit period and choose median point again. Now S, X, and 0. Move this over. This is going to be the wall. I'm not going to create walls on this balcony. There's just going to be a little railing. So go ahead and delete that, and we can be done with that. Now add another loop cut for this wall, and one more for this wall. Now I'm going to go ahead and select all the wall faces. So select this one, then hold down Control and click here. And do the same thing all the way around the building. When we get to this area, I'm going to select all of this. And then select that one and go Control and click here, and then select this as well. I'm going to go Control I, X, and faces. Delete everything in there. So now we can create the interior walls of the building. What I think I'm going to do is divide this building up into 4 quadrants. So let's add a loop cut here and pull this down. down here on the X, just like that, and then add a loop cut right here, and pull this on the Y. If we go Shift S, cursor to selected, to put the cursor right there, then we can go S, Y, and 0. Now you can go Shift S, cursor to selected on that one, add another loop cut, and S, Y, 0 again. Now I'm going to fill these and delete this extra loop. I'm going to say that the elevator is going to go right here, even though that's maybe not realistic. People are just going to be like, oh, there's an elevator shaft there. How realistic they thought of modeling an elevator. So extrude that over, something like this. This can be the elevator shaft. I'll go into object mode, shift select this bottom one, and then tab into edit mode again. Control R to add a loop cut right here. And then one more right here. I'm now going to grab this face, X faces, and then the one underneath it. So we've got a hole. I'll tab into edit mode on just the floor, and then I'll fill this, and then I'll grab that face and then tap F twice to go around the edge. Very nice. Now I'm going to select the walls again, go back to the top view. So let's make some rooms. I'm going to go Control R and say that our first room is going to be something like that. That's the doorway. So let's delete this edge loop and Control R. I'm trying to keep it consistent here. And the next one is something like this. So now we need to add some walls in between these so that people aren't infringing on each other's privacy. So I'll first make this wall, so Control R to add a loop here. Now let's add a loop on this side, 2 of them actually, and let's go Shift S, cursor to selected, period, 3D cursor, and S, X, and 0. Now put the cursor there, select this one, and S, X, 0 to align those up. Now I can fill this, and it will be filled in exactly how we want it. So let's do the same thing here. Control R, Shift S, cursor to selected, select this one, S, X, 0. Then Shift S, cursor to selected, S, X, 0. Fill those. And now you can see this apartment's really small, so move this over. And apparently this apartment on the end is more expensive or something. Alright, that looks pretty good. We've got the inside mostly modeled, all the walls where we want them. One other thing you're going to want is space for some big columns to hold up the building. So I'm going to create an area right here for one. So let's go like that. Shift S, cursor to selected. Select this vertice, E, S, Y, 0. And fill all this in. Add a loop cut there and there so that we can delete this. So there's going to be a big beam right there supporting the building, and I'm going to want one right here, and then I think I'll put one maybe right here. Like I said, not realistic, but it should work nonetheless. Very nice. One more. Pretty cool. Now let's extrude this up. E. And just look at the doorway. You're going to want the actual door height, which I think this is about right, plus maybe a foot. So something like this. That looks decent to me. Now I'm going to go Control R and add that loop. That's the extra foot. This door is a little too big. Now delete this and this. Vertex select. Select that loop and this loop, and then Control E, bridge edge loops. Now let's add the next thing, and that is some furniture. Because What's a building without furniture? I'm going to do it in the same object as the walls just because it doesn't really matter, and they're all going to break apart about the same. It's like wooden walls and then like a wooden bed frame. It's just going to break apart the same. Let's go ahead and duplicate some part of this mesh. I'm going to duplicate this face down here since it's already against the ground, and let's make a bed. I'm going to switch back to median point and scale this up a bit. That looks about right. I think 2 people could fit on that. So let's extrude this up, and I'll go Control R, scale those out on the Y-axis, and then I'll say E to extrude this up, slide this back. You might scale these out as well, just to smooth out those pillows. So now I'm going to grab the bottom of our bed here and put that right there. I'll extrude it up to be like a side table, and then I'll select the bottom and just scale it down. We'll add another loop here and scale that down. Really trying to fit those beds in there. Okay, looks good. So let's select this face down here again, switch back to face select, Shift D, Shift Z, and I'll go rotate 90 degrees, scale it up. This is going to be for the TV. Seems like a decent bedroom. I wouldn't mind staying there. So that's a nice little hotel room. Now we gotta model the windows and stuff on the outside. Maybe there will be a window right here. So I'll just go I to inset this. I'm gonna select both sides actually, and then inset those at the same time. So we've got the same shape. And maybe scale it out. X faces. There are not quite enough loops on the outside, so let's add that in. And then let us bridge edge loops. Control E, bridge edge loops. I'm going to add a loop cut on either side of this, scale those in. Just like that, and then one more on either side of this. So now this guy is only going to get one window. Select all of that. I to inset, faces. Grab those 2 vertices, bridge edge loops. This guy will have 2 windows. And we'll say I, and I'll say 0.02. Now select that and that, I, 0.02. We want these to be exactly the same so that it matches up. X faces, bridge edge loops, and bridge edge loops. So now you can see we've got all the walls cut open. Now it's time to add the windows in. So I'm going to tab into edit mode and just select the inner loop to each window. Look at that, this, all of them selected using Alt and Shift. Now go Shift D and P selection. We've got all these windows here. Tab into edit mode, and it's time to fill them in. We don't need the extra vertices, so let's go ahead and get rid of those. Dissolve vertices. L, F. Select all the extra vertices that you are not going to need, and X dissolve vertices, and then hit fill. Tab back into object mode. You've got your windows and your building, and it's looking pretty good. This would be a good time to save your file just so that, nothing terrible happens. So even though it's maybe not super realistic, we're going to go ahead and array these floors all the way up through the entire building. Let's go add modifier, array. And instead of using relative offset, I'm going to choose constant offset, set it on the z-axis, and then just turn this up until it looks about right. That looks pretty good. I will give this same modifier to the floor, array, instead of relative, choose constant and crank this up. Move it up till it sits right above the bottom floor. And those two should be the same number. So you can copy this and paste it in here. So now that you've got that one working, let's go ahead and get the windows working as well. Add modifier, array, uncheck relative, and choose constant. Alt-H to unhide everything, and we should have it all working properly. Now if I go ahead and turn the count on this up, set this to 27, and then set the floor count as well to 27. So there's a couple other things you're going to need to model, and that is these support beams in here, and also the elevator, and then I'm going to model some, well, first of all, I'm going to model a door to go here so that people can get out on the balcony, and then some railing as well. Now we can model the pillars. I'll grab the walls, Shift D, tab into edit mode, select this, and Control I, X vertices. That should do it. S, Shift Z, scale that in a little bit, and I'm going to get rid of some of these unneeded loops. X edge loops. Going to drag this up. And maybe we'll need a couple more floors. So let's try 55. Yeah, that looks a lot better. 55. Just hide both of those. So you got to remember, when you're choosing something like 55, you're going to have a lot of vertices in your scene. I currently have 195,000 vertices. That's quite a lot. And you just got to keep that in mind, especially when you're running simulations. Things could get pretty heavy. So yeah, just, you know, keep in mind how much your computer can handle, and don't kill your computer. I'm also going to duplicate this these interior parts. So next we're going to add some materials, and then in the next video we're going to do the simulation. I'm going to hide everything except for the windows and get those right. Let's go new, and I'll go glossy and turn the roughness all the way off, and that should be pretty good. You can use glass if you want to. That's going to be a lot harder to render. It's going to work a little better in cycles. If I choose rendered view and grab some sort of background, environment texture, I should have an HDRI. Yeah, you can see it's reflecting in the windows. So if you hit Alt-H now, go ahead and hide the windows since we got those done. Now I'll do the floors, and we're going to want a carpet material and then a concrete material. So let's call this concrete. Now let's call this floor. I'll make this a red. If you go into look dev, you can see that. I'll turn the roughness all the way up, and then I'll go concrete. This will be a gray. This, which is the walls, that's going to be primarily concrete, mostly for the sake of the outside. And then we're going to add a few misc materials, so I'll call this beds. And if we select that bed, those ones, I'm going to go assign, and we'll say roughness all the way up. This down maybe just a tad, and it's an off-white. Call the next one wood, and I'll make this a nice brown. Select the base of the TVs and all the side tables and make those wooden, and then I'll call this TV. Make this black, and I'll turn the specular up and the roughness down. Very nice. So you can color the interior walls if you want to as well, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it. Alt-H and try rendered view in cycles. If we add in a plane, I'll scale this up, add a principal material, and just turn the darkness down. that looks pretty decent. I mean, this building looks nice. It looks realistic. So look dev isn't going to look nearly as good. What you can do actually is switch to Eevee and then turn on whatever you want. If you go to look dev and turn on scene lights and scene world, it's going to make it like that. If you add in a light sun, put this something like that. Turn the strength up to 6. Then turn on screen space reflections. And it's looking pretty nice. Not as nice as Cycles, of course, but still okay. Alright, so this is a pretty nice building. It's got some really nice detail, and it looks, I don't know, average, I guess. I think that's the point, though. And it was fairly difficult to model the building. However, if you don't want to model the building yourself, if you just want to skip to the explosion, I completely understand that and have provided this building as a 3D model you can download to skip straight to the explosion part of the tutorial. Now, if you'll notice, there is no bottom to the building. It just has windows right into the ground, and there's also no top. That's going to be okay because our angle is going to be something like this, which means we're not going to need to see the bottom anyways. For everybody that is a part of the In Club in the Iridesium community, you're going to get access to 5 big city buildings that you can use to populate your scene or tear apart with an explosion. So anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. This is Iridesium.